introduction highlights, the construction sector is currently under significant stress. We are witnessing a perfect storm where raw material cost, labor, shortage, and supply chain disruption are converging. The central problem is clear: the costing of building is rising faster than ever, and these costs are not being absorbed by developer. They are being passed directly to the consumer.
Moving to the first factor, which is material price increase, construction materials such as steel, cement, timber, and aggregates are essential components in the most construction projects. When the demand for this material increase, but the supply remains limited, the price of raw material will also increase. Besides that, fluctuation in the global market and unstable raw material prices can make material costs unpredictable. These directly affect contractors because they need to spend more money to purchase the required material. The main impact of material price increase are higher procurement costs and increase the overall project budget and a higher risk of cost overruns and project delays. To reduce this issue, contractors can practice early procurement and bulk purchasing, establish long-term contracts with suppliers, monitor market price change regularly, and consider alternative material or local supplier. Overall, the increase in material price is one of the major factors contributing to higher construction costs because material represent a significant portion of project expenses. The second factor is labor shortage. The construction industry heavily depends on both skilled and unskilled workers to complete the project. However, the industry currently faces a shortage of workers due to several reasons such as low interest in construction jobs, a lack of skilled workers, and restriction involving foreign workers. When there are insufficient workers available, productivity decreases and construction activity may take longer to complete. In addition, contractor may need to offer higher wages to attract and retain workers, which is increased labor costs. The main impact include higher labor expenses, delays in project progress, and an increase in overall construction costs. Some solutions that can be implemented include investing in training and upskill local workers, improving working conditions, adopting construction technology and automation, and developing better long-term workforce planning strategy. In conclusion, labor shortage affect not only the cost of construction project but also the productivity and completion time of the project. The third factor is inflation. Inflation refers to the general increase in the price of goods and services within an economy. In the construction sector, inflation affects various costs including construction material, labor wages, equipment costs, and project financing expenses. When inflation occurs, contractor needs to allocate a large budget to cover increasing expenses. Furthermore, higher interest rates caused by inflation can increase borrowing costs, creating additional financial pressures on construction projects. The key impact of inflation are increased overall construction costs, possible project delays due to the budget adjustment, and higher tender prices and contract value. To manage the effect of inflation, contractors can regularly monitor costs, prepare inflation forecasts, include inflation allowance in contract, and apply value engineering to reduce expenses. Therefore, inflation is an important economic factor that can be significantly influencing the financial stability and cost planning of construction projects. The fourth factor is supply chain disruption. In conclusion, project material usually go through several stages from suppliers to transportation and finally to the construction site. Any disruption during the process can affect the availability and delivery of materials. Some common causes of supply chain disruption include global shortage of construction materials, transportations, and logistic problems, as well as unexpected events such as pandemic, natural disaster, and trade restriction. When materials are delayed or unavailable, construction activities may slow down, resulting in longer project durations. In addition, limited material availability can increase prices due to higher demand compared to supply. To overcome this issue, contractors can plan material procurement earlier Diversity supply improves supply chain monitoring and maintains sufficient stock of critical material. Overall, a stable supply chain is important because delays in material delivery can directly increase project costs and affect project completion schedule. Last but not least is fuel and transportation costs. Construction projects require continuous transportation of materials, equipment, and heavy machinery to the construction site. Therefore, change in fuel prices, especially diesel and petrol price, can directly influence construction costs. Apart from fuel price, transportation costs are also affected by factors such as the distance to the construction site, traffic congestion, and the efficiency of the logistics system. When fuel prices increase, the cost of transportation material and operating heavily machinery also increases. This eventually leads to higher overall project expenses. To reduce this impact, contractor can optimize transportation routes, improve delivery scheduling, purchase material in bulk, use fuel efficiently, bicycle and equipment, and plan logistic activity earlier. Fuel and transportation costs plays an important role because they directly affect daily operational expenses and the efficiency of construction activities. To conclude, the rise of construction costs is influenced by several interconnected factors, including material price increases, labor shortage, inflation, supply chains disruption, and fuel transportation costs.
My name is SITI HAIFAH binti EXCIL. I will explain about impact of rising housing price on the Malaysian household. Firstly, increase household expenditure on housing. When the housing price increase, household expenditure on housing that related to expenses such as rent, mortgage, water, electricity, gas, and fuel that can impact increasing costs relative to their income. So there isn't as much money available to cover other needs. For example, one of the family who used to pay 800 ringgit rent now pay 1,200 ringgit, which leave them with less funds for food and education. Second, higher cost burden for the lower income such as B40 household. The poor family are more vulnerable because they have to allocate a larger part of their income to basic needs. They are challenged by expensive housing prices to keep living their life as they have grown accustomed to. For example, a B40 household may be forced to cut food or health care costs to afford monthly rent payments. Third, the reduction of disposable income and savings take place in this path. A higher cost of housing diminishes the funds that are available to save, invest, attend school, pay medical bills, or indulge in leisure activity. For instance, a young couple saves 100 per month instead of 500 as their housing loan repayments have gone up. Fourth, widening income inequality. As house price increase, the income gap between high and low income households also increases because high income households are able to afford the increased housing costs. The T20 household can afford to buy houses and many P40 households are unable to purchase their first house. The income gap between T20 and B40 increases from 2,500 ringgit in the year 1988 to 11,700 ringgit in year 2040. Last but not least, it's change in household spending patterns. Higher income for housing means that households reduce their spending on other goods and services such as families cut expenses for entertainment, vacation, or meal or to pay for their higher housing costs. Lastly, greater overall cost of living. Housing comprises one of the largest expenditure items for households. This may result in an overall increase in the cost of living as housing prices rise, which can make it more costly for households to sustain their lifestyle. A high rent in addition to the higher utility cause increased monthly living costs. Housing and utilities were one of the three main categories of household expenditure and constitute approximately 24% of household expenditure in 2014.
To conclude, Malaysia construction sector face critical pressure from rising material and labor costs. To stabilize, we must urgently adopt a modern technology and strategic procurement practice. Beyond financials, this is socio-economic issue. High housing costs disproportionately impact the B40 group. Deepening income inequality, urgent efficient action is essential to ensure housing remains accessible and the nation prosper.